One of the things that makes Pope Francis stand out is his knack for shaking things up and turning things around. And by daring to do things differently, he has produced effects the world has never witnessed before. Here is my report on history's Pope of Firsts.
Fratelli e sorelle, buonasera.
It was the first thing he said as the newly proclaimed leader of the Catholic Church on March 13, 2013. Not the usual Latin phrase or some cryptic message, but a simple buonasera, or Italian for good evening. That warm and simple greeting was one of the early signs that this was going to be a different pope, and the start of a long line of unprecedented events for the head of the Catholic Church. For one, the 78-year-old Argentinian is the first pontiff to hail from the Americas and the first non-European to ascend to the Vatican throne in about 12 centuries. He is also the first pope belonging to the Society of Jesus, or Jesuits, who are known to be intellectual soldiers and revolutionaries. The very choice of name was in itself revolutionary. While popes usually assume the name of predecessors or past pontiffs, he was the first to call himself Francis, after the famous saint from Assisi, who, like him, was known for his great love for the poor. And unlike other pontiffs, he signs his name simply as Francis or Franciscus, without ending it with a formal and customary PP, or the Latin abbreviation for pope. Days after his proclamation, Pope Francis surprised the world once more when he refused to reside at the Apostolic Palace reserved for the head of the Church. Breaking once again from tradition, he insisted on living among cardinals and other members of the clergy at the Domus Sanctae Martha, or St. Martha's house in the Vatican City. He also objected to the idea of riding in an enclosed bulletproof popemobile, despite the dangers of being too exposed. Since the attempt on the life of Pope John Paul II in 1981, pontiffs have been transported in public through a custom-made glass-covered automobile. But not Pope Francis, who thinks it's a glass sardine can which only walls him off from people. He'd rather travel around in open-top vehicles or regular cars where he can roll down the window for a chance to be truly close to the public. In another first for a pope, Francis washed and kissed the feet of female and Muslim prisoners at the Casal del Marmo detention facility in Rome in March 2013. In the past, this Holy Week ritual was strictly performed only on priests. The following year, Pope Francis would once again overturn convention by cleansing the feet of the elderly and the disabled. Even his messages bore words that were never before spoken by a pope. In July 2013, the Pope spoke before members of the press while flying back to Rome after attending World Youth Day celebrations in Brazil. What he said turned out to be one of the most potent and unexpected papal statements on homosexuality.
If a person is gay and seeks God and has goodwill, who am I to judge him?
That unrivaled statement was to be followed by another in April 2014 when Pope Francis sought forgiveness for all the sexual abuse committed by priests.
I feel compelled to personally take on all the evil which some priests, quite a few in number, obviously not compared to the number of all the priests, to personally ask for forgiveness for the damage they have done.
While his two predecessors, John Paul II and Benedict XVI, had condemned erring clergymen and their transgressions, Francis is the first pope to take personal responsibility for the scandal. He's also the first to open the doors of communication on controversial and sensitive topics like premarital sex, homosexuality, divorce, and contraception. In November 2013, the Vatican launched a global survey on themes such as artificial birth control, same-sex marriage, and how to treat Catholics who have divorced and remarried. The questionnaire was sent to parishes around the world, and the results became the agenda for the Synod, or Meeting of Bishops, in October 2014. It was again the work of a radical pope who was bent on including everyone in the conversation. even inviting opposition in the hope of finding common ground. And because he seeks, he finds. And by reaching out, he touches. Catholics and non-Catholics alike have been won over by this Pope of First, this holy man of distinctions. Pope Francis has proven that change can inspire change, and by doing things differently, he succeeds in moving people and improving the landscape.